So, hello and welcome to Blueprints Behind Business Interview Series. I'm your host, Brad Douglas, and today I'm honored to have Susana Sierra with BH Compliance on with us. Susana, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
Well, very excited to kick this off. We would love to hear a little bit about your background, who you are, and who BH Compliance is.
Okay, perfect. I'm Susana. I'm the mother of two child, 14 and 12. I'm also an entrepreneur. And my company, BH Compliance, what we do is we have two products. One is a platform to measure the effectiveness of compliance programs. And what we do is work with big companies and especially the subsidiaries so they can see and they can visualize how they are doing business. And the other product is Gmetrics, and it's a tool to measure also the good corporate governance. And with that, companies can also know how they are doing in the G of the ESGs.
Fantastic. Such an important topic, number one, but definitely a great service that you provide to organizations. So tell me a little more, what really inspired you to, take that entrepreneurial leap and get into business on your own?
Actually, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Always, when I studied business, and when I was in the university, I always was dreaming with my own company, without actually knowing the responsibilities to having your company. But so and I didn't know what to do. Actually, I love to travel, so I was hoping to create a business in the tourist sector. I did a lot of business plan, all them failed. And one day was a new law in Chile, and my father told me, "Oh, this could be interesting to do a business plan about this." And actually, that law said that companies need to demonstrate that they were doing everything to prevent corruption. And that is when I did the business plan by telling him, "This is so boring and so bureaucratic, and I don't want to be involved." But he convinced me just to start in the commercial part. And that is when I started going to companies. This was 14 years ago, and knocking doors and telling them this is very important that you do something to prevent corruption, and you are able to demonstrate that you are doing everything to prevent corruption. And companies usually told me, "Oh, but we don't need it because we are not corrupt." And something happened with me at that moment that I realized, and I said it. And I'm from Chile. The company started in Chile, so in Latin America, with a lot of corruption going on. And I was thinking, if the private sector doesn't do anything to prevent, this is impossible to stop, because always, and especially in Latin America, always people is saying, "Oh, the politicians are corrupt," or it's not my fault, it's other fault. But for corruption, you need two parts. And that is when something happened to me, and I felt in love with the prevention of corruption, but from the private sector. And I was convinced that if all companies do something to prevent, and not just having policies and procedures and manuals, but doing something for real, actually measuring how if they were following those policies, then corruption could be stopped. And then is why, just not just in terms of the company, but yes, I wrote a book, I joined Transparency International, I become also the chair of the Chilean chapter of Transparency International. And I was convinced that the private sector actually had an important role to prevent. And that is when I actually fell in love with the company and with the business, and started becoming more than an entrepreneur, an advocate in anti-corruption.
That's incredible. So great pass there, and falling in love with compliance, I guess you could say. So
Exactly. And actually it was funny, because usually compliance people come from the law background or the audit. And when I started with this, actually it was funny, because I was like an outsider. and everyone was telling me, "What are you doing in this industry?" But then having studied business was very good because I had all the note the all I knew how companies work. I have been working in companies before, so actually it was easy for me and try to understand compliance not like a bureaucratic thing, but actually of how companies are doing business. And it's not just the compliance department, but it's the finance, the supplier department, the sales department, the marketing one, like all the tiny things that people or the different departments and companies do is not just to achieve the last goal, that is more revenue, but it's also how you are gaining those more revenues or how you are achieving your goals.
A great insight there. So, being in companies before and also being your own entrepreneur and everything else, what are some of the misconceptions to, kind of owning your own business, and how do you address some of those misconceptions?
Actually, the first big misconception, because I was also teaching a business plan class in Chile in the university for a lot of years. And actually, I also founded a foundation that is called Independizate to help entrepreneurs to go through their business. And with all of that, and with a big or a lot of data, I can say that the big misconception is when people started their business or when they want to be an entrepreneur, a lot of time they're thinking, oh, this is a lot of free time for me. It's like, oh, I don't want to have a boss. I'm going to be my own boss. So, okay, I'm free. And that's not true, actually, because having a company or being an entrepreneur is like having another child. You just can, you are responsible for that. So you never in your life, or maybe when the company is really, really big, but you are not going to have like free vacations again. Because even you can be on vacation because you can take vacations, but you are going to be thinking on your company. It's the same with the kids. You don't need to be with them all the time, but doesn't matter where you are thinking on them, or I hope that, or at least I'm thinking on
Exactly.
them. So it's the same with the company. It's a lot of work. It's much more work than being an employee. And actually I think that you also need a strong mind, because some months are not easy, and it's like all the time things are happening, and you need to work with your team to solve them. And sometimes, especially at the beginning, some months you can't actually pay you your salary, or you need to go through a lot of things. So you need to keep your mind strong, because it's not easy, actually.
No, really great insight there. I appreciate those such true comments. When it comes to owning your own business, it does take a lot of effort, and then you scale and grow your team, and great points. So when you think about in your business, or just any business and that you start, how do you look at, you know, staying adaptable or open to the constant changing business, landscape that we see? Are there any specific strategies that you use?
Maybe I'm a little crazy, so I'm like always thinking in the future. But I think that you need to have your team with you. And for example, for me, it happens when we opened the company in the US, and I was here with a lot of new insights and seeing everything that was happening, and I was trying to put it to the company. And at what point the team told me, oh, but we have all our day-to-day job, and also you are asking us to be innovate and to create all these new products. So I think that the best strategy is to think and to be focused, because a lot is happening, and especially now. And I know that all the companies, and at least most of the entrepreneurs, we want to be in the artificial intelligence field. We want to be in blockchain. We are in blockchain right now, but we want to be like today with the things that are happening, because you know that if you are not going to that path, technology in this era, maybe you are going to be left behind. But at the same time, you need to be sure that your business keep going, because you can't risk also what you already built in all these years. So actually, I think that this is a trade-off. The best strategy is to think before do. This is not my case, because a lot of time I do things before thinking, and it has been good. But if you want to keep growing and to have everything, you need to have moments to stop, to breathe, to think in the future, in your plans, and then be able also to be flexible with that, because the world is changing so fast, so fast, and the industries are changing, and maybe we had like the last 10 years really comfortable going one way, but now there is a lot of things happening, especially with technology, because now you can grow too fast, but also you can die too fast.
And nobody wants that. Well, you
Okay.
actually kind of transitioned us into the next question that I was thinking about. Is there anything that you can share on what your future plans are and what you kind of envision in your next chapter?
Yes, of course. We for us, this is going to be the G metrics year. That this is product to measure the G of the ESGs, because I'm convinced that a lot is happening in the field of new regulations, especially in Europe, especially with the supply chain, or a lot of things that companies are asking for the suppliers or for all the stakeholders, because the European new regulations. But and you can have like, or we comply or have a great ESGs, but you need to start with the corporate governance of companies. So for us this year, we are creating a product to certify supply chains or big companies, because now companies are not responsible anymore just for what they do, but also for what their stakeholders do. And this is not easy, because this, for example, you are working, you have everything on rule, but you are working with a supplier from any country, and they are working with kids, for example, or they are paying bribes to obtain. It's also your responsibility, because you were like, you were hiring them. So now we are working on that, so companies can also know that their supply chain is clean, or they are doing business in the right way. And the other thing is in terms of technology. Now we know that we already have the platform and we already work with technology, but these new technologies, we know that they can help us to grow faster and to scale up faster. Now, it's funny, because 10 years ago, we started working outside Chile, but everything was presential. So we went there, we went to the clients, we went to the companies. So that actually we could scale, but it was so difficult. But now with technology, it's easier. And now we are also adding some machine learning or artificial intelligence to some of our process, actually to help our team to work better. So we are trying to use technology the best way, and to use and artificial intelligence and everything, because we also have a lot of data and we collect a lot of data. So a lot of things can be done with that data. And now the technology is just there.
That's fantastic. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing and incorporating the technology on a whole new level. So if you think about, you had someone coming to you, they're wanting to be an entrepreneur, they're wanting to start their own business. What kind of advice would you give those folks getting started in their own journey?
First, I think that it's very important to do something that you love, because if not, it's going to be just another job, and with all the struggling and the things that you are going to pass, because it's not an easy path, and it's not a straight path, because when you are in a company, you start here and you know that you keep growing on a scale, and then you can be here. But with a company, sometimes you are here, then you are down, and then you grow again. So if it's something that you are not in love with or you don't have passion, don't go that way. Just to something that, and the other thing is do something that you have a competitive advantage, because the industries are changing and growing so fast, so you need to have like a solid base to go in one kind of business. And the other thing, it's amazing because it make life, I'm very happy with my decision when I left the corporate world
Mhm.
and started being an entrepreneur. I'm very happy because it's life. Actually, being an entrepreneur is life itself. There are good days, there are bad days, but when you have an achievement, when you have a goal, it's also yours, and you can share that with other people, and building teams. That is very important. When sometimes you realize and you said, "Oh, I'm giving a job to all these people." Actually, that's amazing also, because you are doing something. Um, for yourself, and not just, you are not just a number. You can make the difference. And also that you need to know that you are going to need a lot of time, and you are going to work probably the triple or the double that you were working before, but for something that is that you love and is for you. So it doesn't feel like work. Actually, it's not like Mondays are, oh no, I don't want to get out of bed. It's you are happy with you are doing, and that is important. And build good teams. It's not easy. It's not good to. It's not easy to be alone in this journey. Have good partners, and build a good team, because if you are alone, you are going to get crazy. And because you want to turn your happy moments, but also you want to turn, or you need someone to help you to pass through the difficult moments also.
Well, that is wonderful insight. And I just want to, take this time to thank you, Susana, for joining us today. It was great meeting you and learning more about BH compliance, learning more about your entrepreneurial journey. And I know the audience is going to love to hear those. To everyone watching, I want to look forward to our next episode, and we'll see you soon.